Today, let's talk about what management is, and the part of it we're going to talk about today is the four-step management process cycle. There are a lot of fours in management talk. So we're going to run across this a lot. Don't confuse them. This is the four-step management process cycle. A manager is an individual whose loyalty is to the company and shareholders, and their job is to maximize the return on investment, the ROI, while protecting the overall value of the company. And this is not just a motto. This is a legal requirement. It is written into the law. So the phrase maximizing return on investment has become to mean at all costs to employees and even customers. So that's created a very short-term outlook, and companies now keep very little cash on hand because when they do, the investors scream to give us that money, and managers do it. They just hand over the cash. But the lack of cash in your bank account creates a situation where the company cannot weather a little bump in the economy. So when things go bad, instead of just taking money out of their bank account and covering the costs, they have to take out loans. And when you take out loans, that increases risks. Also, though, on the flip side of that, too much cash in the bank account can be used against a company because a competitor can see the cash in the bank. They can go and borrow money against the value of your company, and then they can buy up shares of stock based on that loan and take your company away from you, and then they use the cash that you had in your bank to pay off their loan. So yeah, strange thing, but true. Short-term employee outlook. So when companies have a short-term outlook, employees often pick up that same attitude. And that leads to disloyalty, loss of training, which is a cost because the new employees coming in have to be retrained. You have a loss of intellectual property to competitors, so that employee that walks out the door has a lot of information in their head. There's poor PR. Profits over people is really bad PR for your company. And frankly, it attracts and rewards psychopathic management, which is, not a good thing. People management is directing and controlling a group for the purpose of coordinating and harmonizing them to accomplish a goal with greater synergy than individual efforts. So a team of 5 people should be able to produce more than just 5 individuals working. And that is because when they are working as a team, you're coordinating their communications, you're ensuring that everybody is, that person A is delivering what person B needs on schedule and person B to C and so on. I was told several times before I became a manager that things happen when you're around, and that was my management recognizing that I was helping my fellow employees communicate, coordinate. In one case, I had 2 software engineers, and they were working on exactly the same thing. They were supposed to be working on 2 parts of the same thing, but they never talked to each other. I took them to lunch, and we sat down, we started talking, and they realized that they did not have the same view of things. So that quick lunch solved a lot of problems that were about to happen. So management has many roles, and one of them is efficiency. So it is using the least amount of stuff to accomplish a goal. And that includes stuff like land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. Do you have too much land? Do you have land sitting around that's not being used? Well, that land could be converted into cash, and that cash could be converted into more employees if that's what you need. Or entrepreneurship, you need to hire some people outside, bring them in who have new ideas, and so on. So it's the ratio of output to input. It's, your output is stuff you're making, and input is all these 4 things, including money. Effectiveness is the ability to produce the desired result or the ability to reach a goal. So it's just getting the job done. We're going to use management in many different ways. Sometimes it's a person. Sometimes it's a team of people. Sometimes it's a verb that describes what you're doing. So management, the team, needs to ensure that everyone in the company understands the relationship with a customer. This is something they don't really teach in business school, and they should. Everyone in a company, which includes the receptionist, it includes accounting, it includes the engineers, designers, marketing, and sales, especially executives from the C-suite, as they call it, CEOs, COOs, all those C people. Managers, supervisors, support, customer service, everyone needs to understand the relationship with a customer. This is why small companies often take off, is because everybody is connected and they understand what is happening with the customers and they are on the team to win, and they are on the team to survive. They need to understand that the customer is the source of all money in the company. And this is a very unusual concept to a lot of people, especially people in bigger companies, that the customer pays the employees, the customer builds new products, the customer money is funding all the daily operations. Customer money buys new buildings. Customer money funds expansion. Customer money covers everything. It is the lifeblood of the company is coming from customer money. Management, the activity, is all about coordinating people and other resources to achieve a goal. The second definition of this is guiding the allocation, development, and maintenance of resources to attain an organization's goal. That's a very formal definition. One of my favorite definitions, and something I always keep in mind as a manager, is my job is about measuring and controlling. I'm supposed to find out what the good stuff is, what the bad stuff is, do more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff, and you do that with solid, accurate measurements, hopefully more objective than subjective. Oftentimes, the first management job is you're responsible for getting something done. You ask the question, who's my staff? And the answer is anyone you can get help from. It's kind of a trial by fire, being thrown into the water and learning to swim. You learn about people, you learn about what you can ask from people, you learn that people will submit to giving up their time if you can clearly articulate why you need their time and what you're going to use it for and why it's going to benefit you, the company, and them. These are the 4 resources over here: information, financial, people, and material that go to reach goals. Material resources, these are tangible, means that you can touch it. A tangible resource is something you can touch. It is a physical resource that people use, so it could be like steel. Human resources, these are people in the organization that use the other 3 resources to achieve their goals: secretaries, engineers, management, line workers, and so on. Financial resources, these are funds that a company uses to meet its obligations to investors and creditors. You pay back loans and you pay dividends or whatever to investors. So this money can come from revenues, loans, which incurs debt, stock issuances, and so forth. Informational resources. So this is used to effectively utilize the other 3 resources. It includes external information such as competitor data, market data, government data, consultant reports. Yes, we have, I've worked for companies that spend a great deal of cash on outside consultants, and they were very useful. Roles and responsibility of management. So what does top management do? Well, their job is strategic, which means greater than 1 year. And they do that 1 year, greater than 1 year planning, which includes the board of directors, the CEO, president, CIO, all the C-suite people. They're responsible for creating strategic goals, policy of the organization, making decisions that the organization is going to operate on. They're going to set middle management's direction, and they're responsible for ensuring that middle management executes on those plans. I have worked around companies that say things like the upper management will say things like, lower management failed to execute on our vision. Nonsense. Anytime you hear the word vision, that should be a red flag. I'm not going to do advice, but if I am an investor and I hear this kind of nonsense, I get out of that stock right away. No failure to execute our vision, excuse is allowed. Middle management does tactical, which is by definition less than 1 year planning. So this includes the branch managers, regional managers, departmental managers, all these other type of managers you hear about. They take the senior management's strategic goals and policies and they turn them into actionable items. So, and they also include time frames. We're going to get this done in 6 months by end of Q1, whatever it is. And they give that to the frontline managers. Supervisory management. And these are people who do the operational. This is the hourly, daily, weekly stuff that needs to get done. They include the supervisors, frontline team leaders, and similar. These are the people who oversee the daily work, and they have teams of people. They're not usually considered management. They're usually considered part of labor. Let's talk about the managerial process cycle. That's this over here. This is what should be going on in every manager's brain. So the first step is anticipate problems and come up with plans to deal with them. So for example, I inherited a problem group that was very far behind schedule, more than a year behind schedule. At the time, manufacturing was reporting to the engineering department. And every time there was a problem, the engineering department would come to me and they would say, yeah, manufacturing's just not stepping up to the job. They're always late. One day, a manufacturing person came into my office and said, yeah, this is not how it is. We keep getting the plans late and they keep getting revised and engineering's not delivering a complete picture. So we got in a room and we sat down, we talked this out, and at the end of it, I broke manufacturing away from engineering. As I said earlier, manufacturing was reporting to engineering. I had manufacturing report directly to me, engineering report directly to me, and all of a sudden all those problems went away. All the finger pointing went away. So those are the kind of solutions you're looking for. The next thing, coordinate and allocate resources needed to implement plans. Guide personnel through plan implementation. Yeah, you don't just get to throw things over the wall and say, okay, you guys figure it out. It is the manager's job to help them figure it out. You review the results and you make necessary changes. So you're not going to be perfect. Plans are flexible, plans meet reality, and then plans have to change to meet reality. Yeah, so you make the necessary changes and then you come back into this mode and you just keep cycling and you repeat that every day. Next, we're going to talk about the 4 management functions.